Hello there, and welcome back to the Pokemon Trainer Evan channel, or if it's your first time, welcome to my Pokemon related channel. I'm Pokemon Trainer Evan, otherwise known as Evan Davies, and I am here to rank some Pokemon with you today. Today, as you can see on my screen, we got ourselves a baby Pokemon rankings. Much shorter than I am usually used to, but I've noticed that I am very long-winded. So we're going to do a shorter video. In the background, you can hear my Pokemon Lo-Fi Spotify list. I highly recommend go check it out. It is definitely something I use all the time to get through the day and have that creative juice flowing. But without further ado, let's get to these baby rankings. So I think what's interesting about the baby Pokemon is it was the first concept that Pokemon had as part of a generation. Every generation they try to add something new or different or exciting to get you in and to really get you going. You know, Gen 2, theirs was baby Pokemon. I'm very fond of Gen 2. If you've seen my other videos, Gen 2 is my favorite gen. So it's interesting that they went the route of baby Pokemon. That's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoy it. And I think it really, really helps garner different people to the franchise. So that's why I really like this idea. And yes, I'm happy that they revisited it in Gen 4. I think they should revisit it again. It's something that I might even do myself in my own personal Pokemon region, which if you've not checked that out, I highly recommend you go check out my Pokemon region videos if you haven't already. But that's neither here nor here. Here nor there. Today, for these rankings, we're going into really just appeal and design. That's what I'm focusing on. Evolutionary lines, I'm not going to be a part of it because the focus is the concept. The focus isn't what they turn into. You know, frankly, Smoochum is way better than Jinx and does not have any of the problems that Jinx does. So I'm not going to take Smoochum down for that, for instance. So let's just run through what we got and go from there. So we go with our first one being Pichu. I think Pichu is an A, personally. I personally think Pichu is an A because it's a great start to something I already ranked an S tier Pokemon as my starter rankings. In that, how could you not understand the near perfection of a Pikachu design? The elements are all there, just with a little bit more focus on the cheek and the rounded features. And the only pointed features really are coming through the ears, if you're following my cursor. So it gives that appeal of a soft edge and gives that appeal of approachability and cute factor of a baby. So I think Pichu is a great start to do that. It just doesn't have the exact same appeal that Pikachu should be, which is why I put it at an A. Now going to Cleffa. I think Cleffa is actually more endearing than Clefable even. I really do like most of these designs, so I'm going to put Cleffa at an A. It's fun getting the little curlicue as well. The nod of the ears, even though this looks more Princess Leia than it does ears, which as a Star Wars fan I'm a big proponent of. But the face is there, rounded body. It's kind of what, hey, there's this round Pokemon. What would you make a baby of it? It's right there. It's Cleffa. So I think Cleffa's there as a fun little Pokemon to get you started. And I really actually do dig the Princess Leia bun ears. I think those are pretty fun. Igglybuff. Igglybuff, I'll go with a B. I like Igglybuff a lot, actually. I think it's, again, better than Wigglytuff, just not better than Jigglypuff. I think my concern is, what is this? This looks more like a line was drawn on a head. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan, but when I was more of a Dragon Ball Z fan and watching the show, one of the things that drove me insane when I got out was the Majin Buu arc, because I hated how magically there would just be this like stupid marker M on someone's forehead, and that meant they were evil. Oh my god, they were evil. They had a magical M on their head. And it wasn't like a cool tattoo or pressing or something like that. It was just like a Igglybuff. My problem is the curly Q isn't a curly Q. It just looks like a drawn on squiggle. It's almost if it's like Big Brother Jigglypuff got pissed that it fell asleep during Sing, and then drew a curly Q instead of mustaches and black eyes and things as it does in the anime. So that would be my critique of Igglybuff. It's still incredibly cute and adorable. It just the curly Q does bother me, and obviously big fan of curly Q. That spit curl look. So that would be my critique of Igglybuff. Continuing Gen 2, Togepi's an S. Togepi is the baby Pokemon. It helps that you got an entire series with Togepi as an egg. So, like, as an anime fan, I wasn't a huge anime watcher actually as a kid, and even now today, I'm not a huge anime watcher for the series. I'll catch clips and stuff on YouTube or whatever, but Togepi, even I knew the history of Togepi being carried around by Misty. That helps, but it was the first Pokemon you saw outside of its debut generation, which I think is a really unique thing to have for it, which is a special note. Unless you want to count that Ho-Oh representation in the first anime, but you didn't really know what Ho-Oh was. You just were like, oh, it's a big bird that a lot of people thought was a Fearow. Where Togepi, you knew it was something different and unique and exciting. The design looks like a baby's onesie. Everything about it is such an adorable, cute thing. Every time I draw my own Pokemon regions or draw my own things, I've drawn a couple different drawings with, my wife's a huge fan. I'll draw her and she always has a Togepi because she adores Togepi. Because it's just such a cute, adorable baby. And when you are going on baby Pokemon, there's none better than Togepi, in my opinion. Togepi is a downright S. Love it. Now we're going to go to Tyrogue. I'll put Tyrogue as an A, as a B. My issue with Tyrogue being it looks more like a little kid than a baby. Not that that's inherently an issue, but there's not enough of an evolutionary line to get to the top 3. Does that make sense? Like, Tyrogue has to fulfill the masters of going to Hitmonlee, Hitmontop, and Hitmonchan. And I don't know if it really unifies any of that, except the most logical would be Hitmonchan. And it looks just like kind of like a little Dutch boy kid outfit with it. I like the concept. I like the design. I don't think it really evokes baby. It evokes little kid. And inherently it doesn't have to be a baby Pokemon exactly. But it should definitely skew a little younger than I think Tyrogue gives that vibe. So that's why I'd say it's still a fun Pokemon. I like Tyrogue, but I would say it's more of a B. Now, Smoochum. As I said, I'm not going to hold Smoochum's future against it. I like Smoochum a lot. Smoochum, to me, looks like a little baby that found one of its parents' makeup. That's what Smoochum reminds me of. Smoochum actually was an inspiration to me while drawing my own Pokemon, because I loved the ideas kind of going into Smoochum. And I think it's a great save to get to Jinx. Unfortunately, Jinx is always going to be mired in controversy due to the idea that I was based off of blackface, in most people's eyes. So, I'm not going to get more into that. That's for other people to debate. I have my own opinion. I'm pretty strong on that. I think it was pretty blackface myself. But, in talking about Smoochum looks like a cute little baby trying to be an adult. And I think that really hits the note of what you're trying to evoke with these baby Pokemon. That I think is tremendous. And I love specifically because it's a baby, I love the very big diaper-looking design of Smoochum. I think it hits all those notes. It's got that little cutesy, short crop, almost Dutch boy haircut. And I think that really works for the character aspects of Smoochum. So I think Smoochum's a great design for a baby Pokemon. Now going to Magby. This is hard because I don't like Magmar personally, but I can see where at least it gets to Magmar. I would put Magby. I'll put Magby ahead of Tyrogue. Magby is a good Pokemon, and you can see how it gets to that weird fire Kappa. But this is more of what I think it should be. More lizardish, more not. I don't know what it is about Magmar's head. Just drives me insane. Every time I show it to a kid at work, they're just like, "Ha! He's got a bud on its head." And I think that's the problem with Magmar. There's so many flaws, and there's just such an obvious flaw with Magmar. Magby doesn't have those. Magby looks like a little baby version of a Magmar without the problems. And that's why I'd say Magby would be a B for me. It's pretty simple and straight to the point. So that's why I'd say I'd give Magby a B. Now we got ourselves into Gen 4 with Why Not. My God, why not? I'm sorry, is Why Not Gen 4 or is it Gen 2? I can't remember at this point. Probably Gen 2, but I'm losing my mind. Why Not's an S. Look at him! Look at him! It's got all the adorable features that a little kid or a little baby would have. Just happy-go-lucky, and it evokes the personality of itself. It evokes the personality of the Wobbuffet going forward. It's got that big goose egg style bump as if a kid got just hit its head and just kept laughing, which frankly in childcare I've seen a lot. So it evokes it very well. Fun, cutesy idea. I think Why Not is a complete S. Why Not's great. And now we're going to go to Badoo. Definitely towards the Gen 4 now. Badoo. No, Badoo. What am I talking about? I think Badoo's Gen 3. I can't remember now at this point. Badoo. I'm going to give Badoo a C. I see what I think they're trying to do with the swirling vine nature of a rose with Badoo. I just don't think it comes through fast enough, or well enough, I should say. And it looks a little bit more like a plastered face versus a real creature on something, where all these look like Pokemon. They all look like they have something to them. Badoo really doesn't have much of it. And it's hard, for a Roselia, which is that budding rose, this should be, I would just, a flare of a couple petals. Just a hint of petal, I think, would really help Badoo out. For right now, it looks kind of like a sun with a little beard and a twisted green blanket versus the stem of a rose or a vine of a plant or something like that. And that would be my issue. So that's where I'd go. Badoo is a C. Now, Chingling, I don't know if I get full-on baby vibes from Chingling. I like Chingling. I still think, I'll put Chingling as a C. I like it more than Chimecho, personally. I think the idea of having a baby Pokemon based off of a set of bells is really unique and interesting, or wind chime specifically. And I love these little pigtails and this little nod here. It's just so abstract and different compared to a lot of them in a good way. Whereas Badoo, I don't think, is enough of much. Where Chingling, you can look and clearly see it's a little bell on a wind chime, where it's a little bell outside in the wind. And I think that's really, really smart. Really, really cool, actually. And this pigtail design is genius. I think Chingling is far more endearing than Chimecho, personally. And I think that's evoked here. I just don't think Chingling can compete with some of these up here. Chingling, I do like. If we're going to do just personally, I would put Chingling all the way in front of Magby as well, because it's just such a unique little fun guy. It looks like a little Pac-Man with pigtails, which is kind of fun. But it's different, and I think that's why I appreciate it. Now on to Bonsly. I struggle with Bonsly because I also struggle with Sudowoodo with it. Again, I'm not taking Sudowoodo into account necessarily unless there's a really good evoking of it. I'm going to put Bonsly... I'll put Bonsly at a B, I think Bonsly is better than Badoo because it's a hint of what it's going, and it has its own unique personality. Sudowoodo is all about hiding. It's all about these things. Bonsly shows you how it gets to Sudowoodo, but it has its own personality. It looks far more like that potted plant. It looks kind of like a mandrake root from Harry Potter as well, which I think is actually kind of unique and fun. But it looks like this potted plant that just, it's amongst other things. And it's that little baby, or it's that little kid that wants to be a part of stuff, but it's not always present. In terms of it's present right in front of your face, then you see it and you know it. And I think that's a really fun, unique design characteristic. And I think it hits the bonsai plant perfectly. It is the bonsai Pokemon. So I think this is great. A fun little adventure with Bonsly. Now, Mime Jr. Alright, so Mime Jr., here's my thing. Like I said, I'm going to try my best not to bring up other Pokemon. I hate Mr. Mime, and ironically enough, I love Mime Jr. I think Mime Jr. is perfect. This is a great basis for what Mr. Mime could be. But Mr. Mime just comes off weird and creepy. Mime Jr. has the playfulness of a clown that's endearing and not weird or scary or creepy. And I'm not someone who's freaked out by clowns, unlike a lot of people. I get that. But it's got the fun nature of a little baby Pokemon. It's fun. It's endearing. It's excited to just be a part of stuff. And I think that comes through with Mime Jr. so well. I think Mime Jr. is great. I don't have much more to say because I think I'll just start going into why I like it versus I hate Mr. Mime. Now, Happiny. I think Happiny is an S. Happiny's great. The little... How many little kid pictures have you seen of, little babies specifically, or toddlers, and they're starting to grow that first bit of hair, and they just have that one stray pigtail? Happiny has it. Happiny is by far my favorite of the Chansey line in general. It's got the egg, it's protective, it feels like a little kid playing house or playing, or having a baby doll or having an action figure that it just protects and covets with it, but it still knows how to have fun. I think that's perfect. It hits the nature of what they want from a baby Pokemon really, really well. I just adore the look. I think Happiny is just tremendous. And what a great usage of all these pinks. A darker pink, a fair pink, and a very light pink in there as well. Tremendous. Great use of the eyes. And it looks like it's being coddled, or it looks like it's in one of those little baby jumpers. Tremendous. Tremendous design. I love Happiny. Happiny's an S. Now we're on to Munchlax. My issue with Munchlax is I don't know if it evokes much of Snorlax. So I will give Munchlax... I'll give Munchlax an A. This will throw people off because I don't think everyone will like this. Munchlax just reminds me of Eric Cartman from South Park. The design is way too similar in body shape, but it's fun, it's endearing, and it looks like it wants to cause mischief. And I like that because some babies have that look to them. Some little toddlers and little kids have that look to them. And I like that. I think that's tremendous. And I just don't know how well it goes into Snorlax. That would be my issue with it. But again, I'm not taking Snorlax into account of what it turns into. It's just how does it evoke and evolve would be more of my concept. And that would have been my only concern with Munchlax, which is why I considered putting it lower. I like it too much to put it lower, though. And so there we go. Munchlax, I think, is an A. Now, here's my issue. I don't know if Riolu should actually count as a baby Pokemon, but it's on the list, so I'll do it for you guys. Riolu is an S. It evokes everything you need for Lucario. It shows growth, and it shows the beginning of a true journey. This is where I think this is great that I kept Riolu on the list because I think it's a great comparison for Tyrogue. Tyrogue looks like a boy trying to turn into something, not a baby. Doesn't show the elements of growth and where it's going to go. It shows of what it's trying to be. Riolu looks like it has the elements of growth of where it's going to go and how it grows and amasses this enormous wealth of power by becoming a Lucario. It helps that it looks very much just like a miniature Lucario, but if you're going to copy well. It copies one of the best Pokemon of all time. So it's great. I just think Riolu is great. I don't know if I could truly consider it a baby Pokemon. I don't think I would personally consider it a baby Pokemon, but it's on the list, so I'll do it for you. And finally, Mantike. I think Mantike here is an S as well. I like it a lot more than Mantine, actually. I think Mantine's pretty boring. This shows just the little wave of the arm. It shows it wants to be a friend. It wants to be inviting. And I feel like Mantine, there was a lot more that could have been done with Mantine that wasn't, where Mantike takes the simplistic elements and puts it far more into a personality that's inviting and works for a Pokemon. So that's where I'd say that Mantike is great. I love the small antenna on the top. I love that just this little waving arm says, hey guys, let me play, which is great for a baby Pokemon. And it's tremendous. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about the baby Pokemon, but I like them. And I think this evokes that spirit really well. That's kind of going to do it for my rankings today. I know it's a little bit shorter than I usually go, which is probably better for some people. But 4 S's, 6 A's, 5 B's, and a C. I don't think there's a real dud of a baby Pokemon whatsoever. I think they're all pretty well designed for the most part. It's just whether they evoke what they're going to turn into or not. And that would be some of my concerns. But overall, well designed and fun concept for Pokemon, and I think something they should definitely revisit a little bit more. I think that could really bring some more youthful energy to some Pokemon that have been kind of forgotten, admittedly. And I think that'd be really, really fun to see. And I hope we do see that eventually in Gen 10, or maybe as an extension of Gen 9. I think that could be really fun. But that's going to do it for my rankings today. If you like this video, please give it a like, and hopefully you subscribe to the channel as well. It always helps. You can find me here YouTube, Instagram. You can find me on Twitch, which is going to be running real soon. I'm going through a variety of different topics. If you have not checked out some of my other videos, please do so, including my own Fakemon region, the Halzari region, and my 3 starters are available to you right now. So either way, come check it out. I always appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side in the next one. Peace!